Welcome to the Piqua City School Board meeting, November 17th, 2016 at Spring Creek Elementary School. Would the treasurer call the roll, please?
Mr. Bostic.
Here.
Mr. Luby.
Here.
Mr. Height.
Here.
Mr. Gregerson.
Here.
Mr. Patrizio.
We could all stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And may I have a motion to approve the October 25th, 2016 regular board meeting?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes are approved. Does anybody have any additions or to the agenda? Would like to make any? And I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I would just
Aye.
say, thank you. I'll just say that I did take off the minutes for the November work session because I don't have the minutes complete. That was added on there, and I just took them off.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Height, do you have a report for the Upper Valley Career?
It is really easy. We haven't met yet.
Wonderful report.
That's to the point.
This past weekend, the board met in Columbus with various administrators, and we had a work session, and I was asked to give highlights of it. I'm going to need to put my glasses on real quick. At the work session, a variety of issues were discussed, including the curriculum within the district, staff needs throughout the district, teachers' evaluation process and the results, land use plans for the old school properties, the city's plans for redevelopment of the field house area, and the school district's commitments, repair and remodel of the junior high and high school, the issue of sports facilities, and the long-term strategic plan. We also discussed other items, but that is my list at this time. Also at the Ohio School Board Association convention, we had a variety of teachers and students presented, and Dwayne is going to give us a rundown of those folks.
Pleased to share that at each year at the Ohio School Board Association, they actually do 100 booths where students get to come and present some of the ideas and some of the projects they did the year prior. And we were able to have 2 booths for Piqua City Schools, so we were very well represented across the state. One of them was our Invention Convention students at the intermediate level. We had students that were able to compete at the national level, and we were really pleased that 4 of our students in the gifted program were there with their projects. One of them, I understand from meeting with her, is actually working on a patent right now for her project, and they did just a great job. It was really fun to talk to them. And then our 7th and 8th grade STEM program from the Piqua Junior High School is very successful, and in my opinion rivals any STEM program that you could see. Mr. Koth and Mr. Stamper do an amazing job, and when you think of all the STEM programs across the state, the fact that our students at the junior high were chosen to do that presentation, I think says a lot about that program, so really pleased about that. And finally, they have presentations by school teachers that are successful around the state, and I'm pleased to announce that the high school had 3 of our teachers that were presenting about our algebra block. And we were able to attend that session, and they did a great job and had great questions from the audience, and I think a lot of people looked at our program as a good model. So I'm just real excited that Piqua was very well represented at that conference.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Yes.
Move on to the hearing of the public. I have no items before me, so we'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Good evening. The treasurer's report, the 2 things that we normally discuss in November is the CAFR and the audit. Those are ongoing. The update is that the preliminary draft of our financial statements has been issued to the auditor's office, and our work on the CAFR is almost complete. I've got a letter that I'll work with Dwayne on finishing up, and we're going to wrap that up. And then the audit is still ongoing, but we're drawing to a close on that. I talked to them today, and I think we're getting close on that as well. So by December, we should have everything, as we usually do, wrapped up and submitted to the state. So we can see how that goes. Otherwise, that's all going well. Are there any questions about the monthly financial reports that I attached?
Okay.
That's all I have.
So we moved on to the treasurer's agenda. May I have a motion to approve the treasurer's agenda?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The agenda's been approved. Moving on to item F is the superintendent's report.
Each month, we host the board meeting at a different location, and this month, we are at Spring Creek Elementary. And we have Mrs. Straley and Mr. Shostall, the principals of the building, that are here to give the monthly update on academic progress at this building.
Need a timer today?
Thank you.
You just received a short piece of our findings and summary of what we are doing at Spring Creek in order to improve student achievement. We're working very hard and we're staying very focused this year. And John is going to talk about the first couple of items and then I will jump in.
As you look there, the first thing is the kindergarten guided reading process. Last January, we rolled that out in a PD for the staff. And we started that then, and they kind of worked out their bugs. And then this year, that is just moving flawlessly. So we're really excited about the growth that we've seen with that guided reading process. And the students, and that's done in a small group setting, typically with 6 or less students. So really getting that intensive work with our students. The next thing is the implementation of the Read Naturally curriculum. Students in 2nd and 3rd grade are working daily to progress monitor their own growth. They do a cold read and then they have a hot read and they kind of see where they're at. And then the neat thing about it is they get to graph their own progress, and that really is a great motivator for them because they get to see themselves moving up on the graph. So we're really seeing some great growth with that, and we're ready to move that down to some of our 1st grade students starting the 2nd semester.
Mr. Shostall, can you tell what a cold read and what a hot read is?
Sure. So a cold read would be the first time I give this to a student, and they're going to kind of maybe not be as smooth with their fluency as you would want them to be, but they kind of work through that. And then either later that day or the next day, they'll get that same piece, and so we call it a hot read because they're familiar with it, and then we start to see their fluency in the pieces that they're picking up. So a little bit with that Read Naturally, and we're excited to see how that's going to work with our 1st grade as well, as we all learn that process. Also, the PBIS, really, we feel that's supporting our academics as well. You know, the students are really taking to that, and the behaviors in the hallways and the commons have really improved. Students are taking responsibility in their school. For instance, students see a napkin on the floor at lunch, they're picking it up. And that's not mine. They're doing it because this is our school. So we're really excited about what's going on.
Then following our PBIS, this week, we had the Dayton Philharmonic come in and do a string presentation for our 1st graders. And we divided up into 2 groups. We had 3 classes and then 3 classes. After each performance, the musicians commented on the behavior of our students, of how well it was. So we've set our high expectations, and we are referring back to our PBIS. But they were amazed, and these are musicians that go into schools all around the area. Then our 2nd graders, when they went to Victoria Theater, what was really interesting was to hear the kids comment on the behavior of other kids and how they were not behaving like a real audience should. Then our kids were fed lunch down at the Green Street Church, which we have a partnership with, and it is amazing to see the kids use their manners. They know how to say please and thank you, And so we have felt that it's been a real positive week for us in the behaviors of our students. And just like Green Street, the people that are there, they said, it is so neat to watch how all these kids come in. The food is on the table when they come, and they wait until everybody, so that makes us feel very proud as administrators and also as teachers. The last thing that we would like to focus on is the depth of knowledge that our teachers are working on. We have kids who can read, but are they really comprehending of what they're reading? We have 2 classes in 3rd grade that are working on earthquake terror. And the literacy coach and Mrs. Hale and Mrs. Thace gave them a paragraph. We've given you the paragraph there in front of you to have you read it. It is so powerful that there is so much in that paragraph to point out. And it is so important that the kids are able to do the detail. They called me up to the room and they said, Mrs. Straley, read this paragraph and draw a picture. Okay, so I thought, okay, I can do this. So I read it, I reread it, I started to dissect it, but guess what? I forgot the riverbank. And those are things that is so important in the kids' reading. And so that is another thing that we're really working on. And then along with your depth of understanding, we also provided teachers with a series of questions that they use in their teaching to see where the kids are. So that is what we're doing at Spring Creek. We're proud of our kids and we're hoping to move right along. Jeremy, did I make it?
Yep, you did a fine job.
Okay, thank you.
Connie. Does anybody have any questions of Connie? Or
I'd just make a quick comment. I knew when we did the lunch out here for the teachers, that went through the cafeteria a couple of times, and it was very, very noticeable. Kids were sitting, eating, talking, but it was not an uproar. It wasn't just mass confusion, and the place was clean, neat, and very orderly. It was nice to see.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
Would like to provide everyone with just an update on the first quarter. First quarter ended, and the buildings have done a really nice job of awarding our students for the first quarter. We had over 502 students that qualified for honor roll or straight A's this first quarter, and that's a great testament to the work that our students are doing as well as our teachers. Conference attendance was really strong, and a few of them have continued to reach out to parents that weren't able to make to the conferences. We worked this quarter, I've shared with you before, where principals each month are setting some goals, like 4 or 5 goals that are really important that they're working with their staff on, and they'll be doing that here at the middle of this month. They do that at the middle of the month, actually. And one of the things we talked about was just looking at students that might not be passing courses. What's causing them not to pass it? Is it lack of motivation? Is it not understanding? Is it a lack of work? So they're having some really good discussions with their staff about what those reasons might be and how they can help those students overcome those issues so they can work on passing more courses. Just would like to also encourage parents to continue to use Progress Book as a way of looking at how our students are succeeding, and continue just reaching out to administrators and teachers into this next quarter. Finally, we would like to announce that on December 3rd, we have a senior citizens holiday breakfast that will be hosted at Washington School. We're going to be releasing information on that next week. That'll be from 7:30 until 9:30, and our award-winning show choir will be there performing for our senior citizens. And all of our holiday programs for the month of December can be seen if you go to our website at www.piqua.org. It's right on front. You'll see little Christmas lights, and when you click on that, it'll bring up all the programs. So would love to encourage our community to come to any program that our students are sponsoring and see some of the great talent that our music teachers are working so hard on.
Very good. We'll move on to the superintendent's agenda.
Okay. I'd like to recommend that the board approve the attached list of grants. I would love to just mention some of those people because they're important to us. The Miami County Foundation are providing some grants this time. Dobo's Bakery, the Music Boosters, Buckeye Insurance locally, the Coca-Cola Company, which we have a partnership with, Piqua Indian Booster Association, Hartzell Propeller, Kiwanis, Meyer, Polysource, and Wings and Rings. So thank you to all of those gifts and donations to our district from those organizations. And then I would like to ask Mr. Bloom if he would come forward to talk a little bit about the textbook adoption that he is asking you to approve tonight.
Good evening. Briefly, this is for a high school college credit plus course. These are required texts that are recommended by our university partner. There are two of them that have been recommended. The first is a classic, The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. It's been used in many different types of courses. The students will read that. The second is the continuation of the current textbook that is utilized in that class. Both of these are recommended by the university partners for the CC Plus course. I provided some information to all the board members. I will continue to do that anytime that there is any kind of book, text, novel that is recommended for a College Credit Plus course. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
And that's all I have for my agenda.
Does anybody have any questions for the superintendent?
I did like the review of both of the books that are presented. That helps a lot.
Great.
Appreciate that.
Very good.
You've done good.
Very good. May I have a motion to approve the superintendent's agenda?
So moved. Second?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The superintendent agenda carries. Move on to the personnel agenda.
Good evening. The personnel agenda this evening for this evening includes 3 of our FMLA requests and their long-term subs that will be filling those positions, along with several requests for supplemental positions that we have included in there as well. And finally, additional volunteers that have come in to get fingerprinted and approved to serve in our classrooms. Outside of that, I would like to request approval for the personnel agenda as presented.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions to Tony about the personnel agenda? I have a motion then to approve the personnel agenda.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second?
And will the treasurer call the roll?
Mr. Bostic,
Aye.
Mr. Height,
Aye.
Mr. Luby,
Aye.
Mr. Gregerson,
Aye.
Mr. Patrizio.
Aye, except on item 8, I'll abstain. And we'll move on to old business.
Old business, just recommend board approval for the second read and the final approval of the board policies that we've reviewed. And just a quick note again that the 3 of us, Mr. Hiddle, Mr. Lyons, and myself, worked with Neola for some time to go over and make sure that all of our policies are up to date and current. So we feel really good about that work, and this is our last read for that.
Okay. This is our second read. We'll vote on it in the next meeting in December, I assume. Is that correct? Yeah.
This is our second read and final.
Oh, this is our
Yep.
final.
This would be
Okay.
approval,
Okay, so you want a motion to approve this
correct.
policy changes. May I have a motion, please?
So moved?
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The policies are adopted. In new business, we have discussion regarding the repeal and replacement of House Bill 487.
Belinda did a really nice job, I believe October maybe, in the Pickle Daily Call, of writing about the Covington board meeting where they talked about this bill. It resolves around the graduation requirements that are new by the state of Ohio. And they've caused quite a few problems. When you look at the current results, over 40%, nearly 50% of the 2018 graduates are not on track to graduate based on this new assessment and these new graduate requirements. In Piqua, it's 26% of our students currently that are not on track based on the assessments. Over 200 superintendents gathered at the State House in Columbus this week. I was able to participate as well as my team. We went to the rally. It was done very well. There were lots of great concerns raised at that point. Several superintendents also attended the State Board of Education meeting and also held a kind of a gathering later on just to do some more strategic planning. The focus really is on students. It's not fair to the students at this time. It's going to have a detrimental effect on their ability to graduate. We believe that it's more than just one day of testing. There's 180 days that go into that year of learning for that student, and to have 7 end-of-course exams determine that just doesn't add up at this point. And it really is across the state. All, you name any socioeconomic group, any school district, they're all facing the same challenge. So, of course, it's costing the districts more because there's lots of implementation of intervention programs now. The biggest struggle we have is just the timeliness of the data. Students will take the test, so if they take the algebra exam, it takes that following year in October to receive the data, and by then they're already in the next math class, geometry, for example. So if they didn't pass algebra, they're currently in geometry, trying to pass that. Now we've got to go back and do remediation on algebra and try to get more points in that, and it's just really causing a lot of problems for students. So our goal is we want input. We want input on it. We want some changes. We want it to be more fair for students, and we want our students not to be penalized for a test. Just another statistic, currently our graduation rate is at 86%. If we fall on track to where we were, we would drop to 74% with the class of 2018. And we've not been that low since, I can't tell you. So it really is a testing issue at this point. So the board and myself have signed a letter. The letter is going to go out to the state school board members, state superintendent, legislators in the House and Senate, education committees, the Ohio School Board Association, the media, and the Association for Superintendents. And it's a part of what the whole county is doing. All superintendents in Miami County gathered together, and we've all agreed to do this, and all the boards have been supported, and I appreciate the fact that this board is proactive in working toward our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. All the board members have signed the letter, and the letter is going to be sent to the state. So we'll move on to fund-to-fund transfers. Jeremy, if you'd like to talk about this a little bit.
At the work session, we discussed, and we've been creating a list for some time about what kind of things that need to be done at the high school. And one of the things that always comes to mind is safety and security. And so we've got a plan of action to be able to make improvements at the high school, which is now 37 years old. And there's some things that need to be done. The fire alarm is one of them, the PA system, the clock system, some lighting issues. The junior high is now the only building that doesn't have controls in place for the heating and air conditioning system. And so by doing some of those upgrades, we'll be able to pick up on some efficiencies. So there's a whole list of things that we're looking at trying to get done this summer, and that bill equates to about $1.75 million. And so today we're asking to move $1.5 million from the general fund to the permanent improvement account to be able to support that project this summer.
As part of in the future, I think you're going to see from the board yearly improvements to the high school and the junior high. The high school in particular is 36 years old now, and it just is in need of some repairs and remodeling and things of that nature. Right now, we're taking an approach to do what we can afford approach year by year, and we'll try to keep it within our budget. But, hopefully, we'll be able to do most of them without having to come back to do a levy, but we never know at this point in time. So I would ask for a motion to approve the fund-to-fund transfer.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The fund-to-fund transfer has been approved. The next item on our agenda is hearing of the public non-agenda items. I do not have any requests in front of me, so I'll move on to the next item, which is executive session, and the board is going into an executive session for the purpose of appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee, student, and/or school official. In this case, the evaluation of the treasurer as permitted under Ohio Revised Code 121.22. There will be no action expected after the evaluation. Our next regular meeting is December 15th, 2016 at 6 p.m. at the Board of Education office, and I would ask a motion to move to executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.